Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on the Twitter at ConRadicalness. I am joined alongside, as always, by Mike. Follow him on Twitter, my Mike Check. Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, everything, man. Hey, we're not even calling it X. It's just not gonna be X.
I'll never call it X.
Hey, the mama called it Twitter. We're gonna call it Twitter.
You got to take a stand somewhere, Mike, and this is my way of protesting what is going on with the owner of Twitter and all of his antics. So he wants it to be X. I will always call it Twitter, and you will never make me call it X. Anything else. It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. Okay.
It's Twitter.
Okay.
It's Twitter.
So hold up. All right. So here we are again. Right.
Yep.
We always have something
Let's
to
get off topic.
We gotta be start off topic.
Let's go.
If you're on Twitter and it's called a tweet, what is it called if you refer to it as X?
A double X and then a triple X if somebody comments.
So what is
X?
the verb that you're doing when you're conveying a message on X?
Repost.
So it's a post.
It's a post, yes.
So, okay.
But there's already a post social media platform, if I'm not mistaken. I'm on a whole bunch of social media platforms because I was trying to find one to get me completely off of Twitter.
It ain't gonna happen, bro.
No,
it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
Everything
it's been like 6 of them that's come out since Twitter.
I think
Twitter's the reigning champ.
Mastodon, I can't remember the M1. I'm Threads. I'm all over these places thirsting for somebody. But I've already got the Twitter set up the way that I like it to be set up. I already follow. So I got my Twitter set up strictly for work. Yeah. So I follow all types of newspapers around the country. Mm-hmm. I follow, of course, the major sports platforms from HBCU Go to CBS, right? Like I'm following all of those. Mm-hmm. Just the hassle of going back through, finding all of these, because it's like 5,000 accounts I follow, finding all of these things, and then I could narrow it down. It would probably still be 3,000 though. Finding all 3,000 of them to click follow, and then to get it organized the way that I like it, just takes too much work. I don't like being on Twitter. I wish that I could get off of it, but I'm not going to take the steps necessary to stop.
Okay.
I'm just on it.
There you go.
I'm just on it.
So you acknowledge the problem.
Yes. I know it's a problem.
You know it's a problem. Yes. You acknowledge the problem. Yep. You know what the solution is.
Yes.
You have a goal in mind.
Yes.
You just refuse to get there.
Correct.
There we go. Okay.
Correct.
Now we can get on with the show.
Well, now since you laid it out so beautifully, Mike, I didn't make good grades in high school. All right.
That's hard to believe, man.
Didn't make good grades in high school.
Well,
it's not. I'm lazy. And so at one point, my parents sit down because whooping's not working, taking things away, not working. They've taken everything. We didn't have a lot. They've taken everything. They're tired of whooping me, right? I'm tired of catching spankings. They're tired of spanking me. Like, yo, dog, what is going on? Just be honest with us. And my go-to was, I don't know. My dad's like, yo, you say I don't know again, I'm going to knock you through the wall. It's like, all right, so I can't say I don't know. So I got to think about an answer. It's like, what do you want? I was like, I want to do as little as possible for as long as I can. And I broke him. He was so upset. And in that moment, he just laughed. He's like, get away from me. Yeah. Just leave. Get away from me.
Just get your hands up, man.
After you laid it all out there like that, Mike.
Yeah.
Taking all of those steps isn't doing as little as possible for as long as I can, dog. I'm not going to do that. That's too much work.
That explains a lot. That explains a lot, man. That explains a lot, man. Hey, listen.
He told his mama. Yeah. His mama laughed. He called his mama on the phone. I was like, yo, have you ever heard this?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Man, yeah, that's hard. That's hard, bro. Yeah. That's hard. That's
a motto. I got it tattooed on my back.
That explains a lot. That explains an awful lot.
Yes.
Right? Like I'm that's hitting home because I'm going through that right now. Hey, listen, man.
School started back. I got a special place in my heart for kids like that.
Man.
For kids who are going through
let me send mine to your house then.
Please do.
You need
to
be raising. You need to raise the kid that you were.
Please.
That's what you need to do,
my wife is a teacher.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the teachers. School
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure school has started back everywhere now. Mm-hmm. Kids are back in classes. And there's a handful of them who just aren't going to do anything. They just don't. You want to lead them to water. You know you can't make a horse drink once you get to the water.
You can't.
But you can't even lead this horse to the water because this horse doesn't want to move. I know that's frustrating. I know that's painful to deal with at times. It's something that drives my wife insane. She cannot understand why a child or anybody would not want to learn, or at the very least, do the best that they could. If the best you can do is a C, is a D, fine, you take that and live with it and we get better.
Effort. She wants the effort. Yeah, the effort, right.
And she can't understand. And I'm like, yo, she's telling me stories about kids. Like, yeah. That sounds about right. That was me. That was me. I did that.
Wow. So you her biggest pupil then.
Yes.
You her biggest student at this point. Man, I'm praying for you, Courtney. I am praying for you on this show. And look, you got to live with this brother every single day. But we know how brilliant CJ is on the real. We know. It's about effort. It's not about knowledge. This is one of the smartest brothers there is in this building. We got over 400 people in this building every day.
Yeah,
and CJ is one of the most talented and smartest brothers out there. He just doesn't want to do the work.
I'm so smart that I know not to do the work. Because once you do the work, they give you more work.
You figured it out. You figured it out.
I'm not going to keep doing that. We're a week away from the poorly named week 0. Which means we're a week away from MEAC SWAC Challenge, which means Donald Ware has finally put out, we talked about the D2 poll, D2 coaches poll, the D1, or not the D1, just the HBCU media poll for both FCS and D1. He put that out this week, so we'll absolutely talk about that. Speaking of being lazy, thank you for calling me on Friday, because I completely forgot, right? Like... I'm trying, man. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to be better. I'm not, but I will be. I probably won't. Let's share mine. Let's share my poll.
Your ballot.
My ballot.
So let me get this straight. Let me set this back up again.
Yes.
All right. So CJ has taken over the HBCU Huddle's vote. Right. He gets the ballot. I've had it for 10, 12 years. Ever since Box To Row came out. 20 years actually. And CJ, man, does all the research week in and week out, looking into these things. So he's taking over the ballot, representing the HBCU Huddle. Each week we get a national ballot on the Black College HBCU media poll. So CJ's ballot was due on Thursday. He got it in on Friday. He got it in on Friday.
Mike, when you called me, you know what I was doing?
Donald Ware, our cousin of the show, man, our brother of the show, who curates the Box To Row coaches poll and media poll, was like, hey, y'all need to get this ballot in, man. You know how important y'all are in the HBCU Huddle to the ballot, so we got to get it in. I was like, all right, I'm going to send it to CJ. I'm going to send him a text. My man was like, all right, I'm going to get it in right now. I'm out and about. Can I text it to him? I was like, yeah, I'm sure he'll take it via text, man.
I was watching it was the women's, everything in me wants to say, no, it was the men. I was watching the men's 4x1.
Oh, yeah,
I was watching that debacle of a race.
Yeah.
I was at On the Border, not to give a free plug, but I was out in the burbs. I was sitting down. I had my stuffed jalapenos. I was like, what's going on? It must be an emergency. Mike is calling me. I was like, oh no. I got to do it. And I did it, damn it.
You did it.
I did it. And so here's my preseason HBCU football ballot for Box To Row. Coming in at number 1, I got Alabama State. Then I've got Florida A&M at 2, Howard at 3, Prairie View A&M at 4, Jackson State at 5. At 6, I got North Carolina Central. 7 is Alcorn State. 8 is Grambling. 9 is Southern. 10 is Morgan State. Mike, let's call this 3 Bears, right? Tell me who's too high, too low, and just right in the poll.
I think Prairie View might be a little bit too high. I think Morgan State might be too low. I think they're going to turn it up and get in the top 5 at some point this year. And I do believe North Carolina Central is just right. They should be a middle of the pack team. This is a rebuilding year for Trey Oliver down there in North Carolina Central. So I think they're positioned perfectly. Prairie View might be a little bit too ambitious, and Morgan State might be a little bit too down right there on the poll, on your ballot. But we're going to see the poll and compare your ballot to what turned out in the national poll from that perspective.
I felt the same way about Prairie View A&M, but my thought was, okay, who's going to win their division or conference or what have you? And so I said, okay, I think Alabama State will win the SWAC East. I think FAMU will be good enough to compete in the SWAC East. They won't win it, so I'll go Bama State and FAMU behind them, much like we've seen Jackson State and FAMU in past years. I think that Howard is my preseason pick to win the MEAC, so there they go. And then it was, okay, who's coming out of the SWAC West? And I have Prairie View A&M coming out of the SWAC West. They got their last year, if I got to the SWAC championship game last year, if I remember correctly, and they're the most stable program in that division. Everybody else, if I remember correctly, has
turnover.
New coaches.
Yeah, turnover.
And so you've got a program with some talent returning with the same coaching staff another year in that system. I think that makes them a bit better than what most have them.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that surprised me the most between my poll and the Box To Row media, well, between my ballot and the Box To Row media poll, was where they had Alabama State. I got Alabama State 1 because I believe that defense is going to be good. And that defense was good last year. They were 3rd nationally in yards, total yards allowed. They were 6th nationally in yards per play allowed. And they gave up just 18 offensive touchdowns last year. Good for 2nd fewest in all of the FCS. And so if you're looking around and you say, oh, okay, this defense is bringing back a lot of talent, and they are, well, what's the offense going to look like? What's the offense going to do? My stance on Andrew Body. I love him. That the transfer coming in from Texas Southern to play quarterback gives them a dynamic playmaker on the offensive side of the ball, somebody at quarterback who can make plays when things break down.
Yeah.
And so that is why I have them 1. It's the great defense coupled with an offense that should be much improved.
Yes.
And even if they're a little improved, that should be enough to win that division and possibly the SWAC. We had a chance to catch up with Andrew Body at SWAC Media Days. Let's hear from him about his expectations for himself and for the team. What's going on, everybody? CJ Hurton, HBCU Huddle, right here at SWAC Media Day in Birmingham, Alabama, being joined now by Andrew Body. Andrew, how's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm blessed. How about yourself?
I can't complain. Complain. I know we were talking a little bit in between trying to set this up, and you talked to Mike Wallace also. We've been talking about you. I've been talking about you since you came into college. You set a whole bunch of state records in high school in Texas, which, listen, there's a lot of great quarterbacks that come out of the state of Texas. So if you're beating records set by like a Drew Brees or whomever it is in Texas, you got to have a whole lot of talent to be able to do that. What was it like playing football at the high school level in Texas? How competitive was that? Because I don't think people understand.
It was real competitive, and me being from South Texas, a lot of the times people think that South Texas ain't got no competition, South Texas ain't this, South Texas ain't that, but truthfully, it's just as competitive as the Houston area and the Dallas area. You just got different school names and stuff like that. So it was really competitive, especially my senior. We had ended up going down a division, and we were playing a lot of more country-type teams. So it was a different type of football, my guys. So it's truthfully a blessing because it prepared me for exactly what I got into in the SWAC.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you've missed the last 2 seasons with injuries?
So I had ended up getting injured the very last game of 22. I had played the first game of 23 and decided that it was for my best interest that if I medically redshirted, so I'd end up chilling the 23 season.
So what's the rehab process been like for you? Because you missed all of last season. You're coming back healthier, stronger. What's that whole process been like for you the past year?
Just getting strong, strengthening everything around it, just making sure that we doing all the little stuff. Like I had a physical therapist back in Houston. I still talk to him to this day because, I'm in Alabama now. So I still chop it up with him and just see what's the best thing for me. So, but really just getting it strong, getting it very strong.
You made the decision to transfer. You ended up landing at Alabama State. Can you take me through what led you to Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. and the Hornets?
So at first, being a quarterback that kind of had a little more experience entering the portal, I had some interest in stuff like that. And I very firmly believe that God does everything for a reason. So Coach Derek Brown at Alabama State, he knew our equipment manager at TSU. And so he ended up kind of getting in contact with him and somehow got my contact. So after I discussed with him, came on my visit, chopped it up with Coach Eddie Robinson, Coach James, and Coach Barnett, I just seen the vibes that they were giving off, and they seemed real genuine, and everything that they told me on my visit, they lived up to. So I can't be nothing else but grateful because they're men of their word.
How's it been so far? One off season in, how's it been at Alabama State?
It's been great. It's been great. We got a great strength program. Coach Kerry Thompson, he's a good man. He knows exactly what he's doing. I done put on about 10 pounds of muscle, and I'm just happy to be back, bro. Literally, I'm just blessed.
How many years of eligibility do you have left?
I have 2 more. Yes, sir.
All right, what's a successful season look like for you as an individual and then for your team going into the 2024 football season?
Individually, I would say I would really want. I'm trying to get All-American. That's where I see myself, and I most definitely can achieve that. I have yards in mind. Y'all just see at the end of the season. That's what I'm gonna say. And then as a team, I want to end with 2 rings this year. That's all I got on my mind. 2 rings, pinky ring and the one right next to it. Let's get it.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much for taking time out and joining us today, man.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. You have a blessing.
That was Andrew Body, starting quarterback for Alabama State at SWAC Media Days, where we got a chance to catch up with him. I have them one, and coming out of SWAC Media Days, Mike, Alabama State was picked to win the SWAC East, and I think to win the SWAC as well. You brought up a great point while we were chit-chatting during the video. Alabama State didn't lose a whole lot of games by many points. They lost 4 games last year. Mm-hmm. One of them was a FAMU. They lost by 13, but it wasn't alarmingly jaw-dropping. Oh my gosh, FAMU put up 50 on them. No, FAMU had 23. They had 10. Mm-hmm. Then you look at can't be losing to Miles. That's one thing, but they lost by 4 to Miles. They lost by 3, I think, in overtime to Alcorn State. Let me pull that up again. They lost by a touchdown to Prairie View A&M. And, yeah, they lost by 3 in overtime to Alcorn State. So if you're looking at it, 3 of their 4 losses were by single digits.
By single digits. By one possession. And when you talk about what Body can do from the quarterback position as a dynamic quarterback, I mean, you got to look at, this guy can basically change the trajectory of that team. We saw the kind of talent that he had in his limited time at Texas Southern, right? Mm-hmm. And then he got hurt. Then he kind of lost track a little bit. But when we saw him in Birmingham at SWAC Media Day, he was healthy. He looked like his mind was in the right place. He was able to understand and have the self-awareness of what he'd been through and what he had gone through with that injury to his leg. And if he can give them, he can make the difference in 1 or 2 possessions a game just based on his talent. So when you flip that, maybe they win those games. Maybe they win 3 of those 4 games. And now you're talking about potentially a 1 or 2 loss Alabama State team. And depending on who those losses come to, man, they could be right there where they're projected to be.
Now, the rest of the media members aren't as high on Alabama State as I am, or as those who were at the SWAC Media Day are. When we take a look at the official HBCU football media poll, thanks to Box To Row, Florida A&M comes in at number 1, Mike. Florida A&M with 16 first-place votes gets 1. North Carolina Central comes in at 2. Howard at 3. Alabama State comes in at number 4 with 2 first-place votes. One of those is me, obviously. Then you've got Virginia Union, Jackson State, Benedict. Then you got tied for 8th, Prairie View A&M and Alcorn State. And rounding out the top 10, Virginia State. Mike, again, Goldilocks it for me. Too high, too low, just right.
I think too low is Tennessee State in others receiving votes. I think Tennessee State showed that through the first half of last year, they were on the verge of being competitive and possibly winning the Big South OVC. And then those last 3 weeks, it just kind of got away from them. They could not score the ball. Their defense was solid. They just couldn't get any and generate any offense. And that flipped in that UT Martin game where they were right there and they couldn't have any offense in the second half. And then I think UT Martin goes on and takes care of that conference. So I think Tennessee State is too low. I think we will hear from them. Jackson State is interesting because for anybody to be just 2 years in and to essentially be in a put up or shut up situation is TC Taylor and Jackson State. We love the guy, great guy, personality and everything, but Jackson State won't settle for being, under the radar for long just because of that tremendous fan base. And then maybe too high, I think we're kind of putting, on this one, I think North Carolina Central is a little too high. I think they're just, you can't lose Davis Richard and then, everything that they lost.
Lost a pretty important lineman as well.
Yeah, and then expect to be right back there in the MEAC. So we'll see if they can hold up. I trust Trey Oliver and what they do at Central, but having them 2 right now, I wouldn't be as ambitious as that poll release.
I don't have any D2 schools in my preseason poll.
Yeah, you didn't respect them all. You're a D2 product and didn't respect D2, man. You know what I mean?
That doesn't mean 1 or 2 or 3 and probably maybe 4 don't make an appearance and aren't there come season's end. Yeah. I am fine doing that as the season progresses.
Right.
It's just right now, with the information that I have, I feel like given the nod, if it's a tie, Virginia Union, Morgan State, or Virginia State and Grambling, right? If it's a tie,
you're gonna go
let's
go
with the bigger program.
Yeah.
And the smaller program will absolutely have a chance to prove that they belong, right? Tuskegee is not in my poll,
right?
My ballot. Tuskegee plays Grambling. Tuskegee go out there and take care of business, beat Grambling, and then run through the rest of their schedule. Not only are they in, they're certainly top 5, possibly top 3, right? So that's just my mentality when it goes into the preseason. But again, my ballot is not a line. It's not like, okay, boom, you were behind North Carolina Central lost. Well, great, you get to move up. Now instead of being 5th, you're now 3rd. No. Because 7 or 8 might have had a better win than you, and that might make their resume all the better than yours. So 7 and 8 might jump you as well. I take it week by week and see what's going on every single week. It's not a line.
And that's the smart thing. I think that's what's going to make you taking over our ballot interesting and intriguing for me too, because I'm more traditional minded. Like I base my ballot this week on the results from last week, and I try to keep mine is more linear in terms of how I lay it out. What you're doing is saying, okay, guess what? This week, blank canvas. Who had the best win? Let me rank them 1 through 10. Next week, it can be like, so your 1 can shift every single week based on how they perform. You know what I mean? So, and that's a great way to do it as well too. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a compelling season no matter what. And, the rankings are going to come out every week, and we're going to break them down every single week on HBCU Huddle.
On the topic of Tennessee State, because I think you brought up a good sleeper team. Draylon Ellis is back at quarterback. Didn't look as good as I expected him to the past 2 seasons.
Yeah,
but
lost the job last year. Yeah,
he didn't practice in the offseason. He didn't get to practice in the spring because of eligibility issues.
Right,
he's able to practice
coming into last year.
And I think the season before that he was injured.
COVID. Well, no, it wasn't COVID.
He was injured.
Okay.
I think he had just transferred in. And I think he was injured, and then last year he didn't practice because of the eligibility concern. And so, but now he's had a full offseason to practice. I expect him to hit the ground running. Terrell Allen, FCS Defensive Player of the Year, is no longer there in Nashville. He ended up transferring out of that program. Wish him all of the best in his continued football journey, but he's not there anymore. Yeah. And so much of my thought and expectation of Tennessee State was, as long as that dude is on the defensive line, that defense is going to be solid. I'll need to see Tennessee State do some things, play a couple of games before I feel comfortable ranking them, but they are absolutely a great pick for a dark horse team. Not only is Florida A&M number 1 in the Box To Row poll, but they are also in the top 25 of the FCS coaches poll preseason. They're the only HBCU in the top 25 of the HBCU coaches poll, but we've got North Carolina Central, Howard, Alabama State, Alcorn State, and North Carolina A&T all in the receiving votes category, all in that order. Just a reminder real quick about the coaches poll the D2 coaches poll from Box To Row, where that stands. Virginia Union is at 1, Virginia State 2, Fort Valley State 3, Fayetteville State 4, Albany State 5, and then you got Benedict, Miles, Tuskegee, Johnson C. Smith, and Bowie State rounding out the rest of your D2 top 10. We got to take a quick break right here in the Built Ford Tough Studios. But when we get back, we'll take a look at some of the HBCU players having a good start to the NFL preseason. We also got a fun game. I didn't mention that. We got a fun game to play with Mike. I'm going to get music one of these damn days, Mike, so you know it's game time. We got that and so much more coming up next on HBCU Huddle on the Built Ford Tough Studio.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Gigi gonna be just fine, bro. Like he probably, like Josh probably number 1, and he's probably number 2 most talented teammates I've ever had.
Just raw talent.
Like,
wow.
bro, like
just go to the gym, hoop type talent.
Like you walk in the gym and he might be doing a workout, and you gonna look over and be like, damn.
The Chris Vernon Show, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back in, everybody. CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace. We talked some about Alabama State and heard from their starting cornerback, Andrew Body. In the last segment, Alabama State, number 1 in my ballot, number 4 in the Box To Row preseason polls. They come in the also receiving votes category in the FCS coaches poll. Let's sit down. Well, not right now, let's not. But we sat down with Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. of Alabama State. Let's hear what he has to say about the upcoming season and his expectations for the Hornets this year.
What's going on, everybody? CJ Hurt and HBCU Huddle here at SWAC Media Days in Birmingham, the Magic City right now. We're being joined by Alabama State head coach Eddie Robinson Jr. Coach, how's it going today?
Going well, man. Just appreciate you guys coming out here to cover us and give us some exposure.
We love it. We love to do it. Coach, let's start with last year's team. That defense, bear with me. I'm going to read off some of the stats from that defense. 3rd in the FCS in total D, 281.9 yards per game, 16 yards per play at 4.5. 2nd in opponent offensive touchdowns at 15. Coach, what made that defense so special last year, and what do you see in this year's defense that you think are some of the similarities?
I think it just starts with the attitude, and of course, there's some great coaches in place. You know, Ryan Lewis, our defensive coordinator, I actually covered him when I was doing ESPN when he was at Bethune-Cookman, so he's an All-American guy. James Williams played at Texas Southern, so I knew him. Billy Gresham, our linebacker coach, Alabama State guy. So and Ty Middleton, our D-line coach. So I mean, it's just those guys have put a lot into the players, and they've set a standard of expectation that starts in practice. And just got to have that level of nastiness. I think defense is a whole lot of it. Is just how bad do you want to make that play, and that's what we try to preach every time.
How many players do you got returning from that D from last year?
Yeah, I think we have around 7 guys coming back. We lost 4. One of them is in the NFL with the Patriots, Mikey Victor. So we're doing some really good things over there, and those guys are playing at a high level.
On the other side of the ball, you got a pretty big transfer in Andrew Body coming in at quarterback. What's he look like so far this offseason?
I mean, just great leadership ability. I think he does so much off the field that people don't see. Just a guy that's in the locker room, makes everybody feel comfortable, so he fit in right away. And I think that should transfer to him making plays on the field and hopefully transfer it to more wins and more production on offense.
What was it about Body that you saw on film that said, oh, if we can get that guy, that's somebody we want to have on our team?
Yeah, we played against him our first year here, and so we just know from the dual threat aspect of it. You know, being a defensive guy, you're always worrying about that quarterback. Well, you cover everything, you do a great job, and then outside of the play, he can make a play with his legs. It makes it just extra hard to stop him. So I like to have those dual threat quarterbacks. You know, it gives you problems, and so at the same time, you still have to be a passer. And so you got to have the running ability, but you still got to make good decisions with the ball and complete the passes when you need to.
Who are some players who didn't make – you can only bring 2 players to SWAC Media Day. Who are some players that you didn't get a chance to bring down that you think people should know about going into the season or will know about by the time the season ends?
Yeah, Janelle Brown, he's a 6-year guy, has been here, graduated in the spring, and defensive tackle. Should be a really big force for us. I think Rico Dozier, guy that played at Pine Bluff last year, so everybody kind of knows him. So he's all conference linebacker, so he'll take the place of Bubba Adams in the middle. And I think those are probably the 2 guys. And offensively, we got some young guys. Ajay Harrell, he's a guy that's a redshirt freshman at that wide receiver position, so he'll step up and make that next step as a player. So we're looking forward to those guys, kind of elevating their game and helping us be successful.
I'm gonna break some news to you, Coach. A fourth of the SWAC is coached by former Houston Oilers. All of y'all on the same team. What does that mean? How does that happen?
Yeah, well, and my DB coach, James Williams, he played with the Oilers with us also, and a Texas Southern guy. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things that fell into place. But to see Bubba McDowell, Chris Dishman, and those are guys that I kind of looked up to. When I got to the Oilers, they were 4- and 5-year veterans. Dishman was an all-pro, and so they really taught me how to be a professional. So it's kind of good. I talked with Dishman, kind of, hey, man, this is what the SWAC happens. So now it's kind of like I'm able to repay the favor. But it's fun having those guys in the conference, and hopefully we can get the coaching in the conference at the level I think is really elevating, and so I love that part of it. Maynard, those guys. So we got a lot of TC Taylors. I mean, I can go on and on. I think all of the coaches here are doing a great job, and we just want to put a good brand of football, put some guys in the NFL, make sure everybody graduate. That's our jobs.
One of the big overarching stories in college football right now is, well, it's two of them. It's the transfer portal and it's the NIL. How has the NIL, we'll start with this, how have both of those impacted you guys and your job as far as recruiting goes?
I mean, I think it's a little bit different. I think to me it's more of a 2-year window of your team as opposed to a 4-year. So you figure every 2 years is probably going to turn over, which is unfortunate because you don't always get to develop those great long-lasting relationships with guys. But at the same time, it's just the nature of the game. But I think you're starting to see it kind of even out where kids realize if I'm having success at Alabama State, then why would I leave to go somewhere else and try to start over? Just continue what you've started. So we find that sometime. And then really you also find some kids that transfer in and do a really good job. So we have some guys who are, 1 or 2 year transfers who've played really well for us over the years. The Mikey Victor kid was a transfer who came in for 2 years and did a really good job. So I think it's just part of the process. You have to adjust and just adapt to the landscape of college football.
Great. Coach, thank you so much for taking some time out with us right here on HBCU Huddle.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
That was Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. talking about not just his expectations for the season. We didn't get a chance to talk about this. All the damn Oilers who are now head coaches in the SWAC. Yeah. That whole secondary, it seemed like, is a head coach in the SWAC. That's real impressive.
Chris Dishman over at Texas Southern, first-year coach there. Eddie Robinson Jr., Alabama State. Yeah, I mean, they're big time, man. Hey, that was a special team, and that team birthed the Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. And Eddie George at Tennessee State now and Steve McNair were sort of the crossover guys that brought the organization forward. So, yeah, great reference there, CJ.
Yeah. Thanks to Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. for joining us, taking time out of his busy day at SWAC Media Day. Let's take a look real quick, Mike, at some former HBCU athletes having an impact on their NFL rosters week 1 of the NFL preseason. And I think it starts with former Howard running back Ian Wheeler, who had 2 touchdowns and 43 yards on just 5 carries, making the most of his opportunities out there on the football field.
Yeah, Chicago Bears, running back. I mean, we've seen Tariq Cohen, as you look at what, some of the highlights there from the Chicago Bears, courtesy of the Chicago Bears Twitter feed, X feed, with him getting in the end zone, big time running back right there. Tariq Cohen did this for them a few years ago coming out of North Carolina A&T. So the pipeline is there. And one of the great things about it, CJ, before you get to the next guy, is that the NFL tweaked its roster rules this year. You can have a practice squad of up to 17 players. Mm-hmm. You used to only have 7. So now, or 7 or 8. So now you increase that to 17. That means a lot of HBCU products, a lot of smaller college products will get an opportunity to make NFL rosters, at least be on the practice squad for potential call-ups.
Absolutely. Jarvion Howard, we talked to him last SWAC Media Day. He had a big fourth quarter for the Packers. He rushed for 44 yards on 8 carries. And speaking of the Packers, Emmanuel Wilson, I do believe 2 years removed from his time playing college ball at Fort Valley State, and J.C. Smith rushed for 70-plus yards.
Yeah.
Then you throw in Shaquan Davis, wide receiver out of South Carolina State, who's back on the Saints roster. To your point, Mike, he was on the practice squad last year. That number has grown. Mm-hmm. The Saints dropped a receiver to make room to bring him in. So it's looking like they really enjoyed what they saw in him on the football field last year. As always, James Houston IV is doing his thing with the Lions. It's a lot of HBCU players out there earning roster spots in the NFL, and I love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, you still got, and we didn't even mention, the Florida A&M guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Marquise Bell is still doing his thing in a big way, with the Cowboys. And
a solid roster spot, right? Like he's just on the roster.
He's in there. Like he's about to get paid is what's coming up next for him with the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, man, it's a lot of activity, a lot of movement, and I think it was a smart thing for the NFL to go ahead and increase those opportunities via the practice squad too, because guys are just one snap away from getting it back into the 53-man roster. Now that roster extends to 53 plus the 17, gets you to 70. So it's good to go about it doing that way. They also requiring teams now to wait to the end of the preseason to make all of their cuts. Mm-hmm. You can cut a guy between now and then, but you're not required and it's not mandated to cut down to 53 until after the last. Usually the cuts go in stages.
Yeah.
You got to get it to this, then to that, and then ultimately to 53. Now you're going to have a full preseason for these guys to show what they can do.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Mike, I don't know if you've heard, everybody might not have. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
It's a show called Jeopardy, Mike. Jeopardy. And for those of you who don't know, Jeopardy, they give you answers to questions, mm-hmm. and then you have to answer in the form of the question.
Okay.
Right? So that's how Jeopardy works. Somebody by the name of Alex Trebek, a true legend, a true GOAT in game show television. Have you ever seen it?
I've seen it.
You've seen it? Okay.
Yes.
Everybody might not have.
Yes.
They had a category on Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
It was called distractions. So I'm going to distract you now with this game. But the way that they spell distraction, distraction. A diss track.
Okay.
So the answers are all diss tracks, Mike. Let's throw the first one up, Kyra. Let's go, Mike. On Hit 'Em Up, this rapper dissed Biggie Smalls and rep the West Side.
Oh, hold up. Rep the what? Oh, yeah, Tupac. What is Tupac?
Who is Tupac?
What is Tupac? Yeah, who is Tupac? What is Tupac? Dead right now. You know what I'm saying?
Allegedly.
So, yeah.
Allegedly. He's in Brazil, Mike. We all know that. All right, let's go next. Cameron went in on this New York rapper and even titled his diss Curtis after his rival's government name.
Oh, man. Who is Curtis Jackson?
Give me his rap name.
50 Cent.
50 Cent. 50. Yes, correct, Mike. Correct. I forgot about that one. That was a good New York rap beef. Next up, the title of this hate letter from Nas to Jay-Z that shares its name with an anesthetic drug now means to insult publicly.
Oh, man. Who is Nas and what is Ether?
What is Ether? We'll take it.
Second greatest diss track of all time.
Did Nas lost that?
Lost what? The battle?
He won the battle?
He won the war with that one.
Okay.
Like Jay-Z couldn't come back. Jay-Z tried twice
to
come back at Nas, and it never rose to the level of Ether. It just never did. Jay-Z had the greater career. He has more net worth.
No, we're not talking about none of that.
Superstar.
We don't care about none of that.
But he took
this battle, who won?
He took an L.
Okay.
Nas was Buster Douglas on this night. Jay-Z was Tyson.
I don't know how many people feel that, because that's what I always thought. But I talk to people routinely like, no, Jay-Z won that. It's like, how? How? Ether was so it's in our vernacular now.
It's one of those things where, listen, man, this dude basically said, I raised you. I made you the gangster who you think you are.
You slept on my couch.
That's what I'm saying. So come on, man. Nah, it doesn't work that way.
If you disagree with Mike and myself, because I think Nas won that battle, hit us up in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter. We love interacting with you people. Next up, Kyra. In May 2024, these two competitors went back and forth with tracks like Family Matters and Meet the Grams.
Yeah. Who are Drake and Kendrick Lamar?
There we go. Mike, you're good at this.
Yeah, I'm a little. I'm not too far behind.
Disses.
I know I'm not too far behind.
How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Next up, last one. In 2022, the game released a 10-minute diss directed at this rapper, also known as Slim Shady.
What? The game was still around in 2022?
I missed this beef entirely.
I did too. I did too. Both of them are washed up at this point. that's like Tyson fighting Holyfield now.
Mike, like these people might be watching.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Please don't come get me. Don't ether me. Go get Mike. I don't want that smoke.
Nah, I tell you what, man. Slim, who are? Well, you said the game is already referenced there. Who is? Dang, what is Slim Shady's name? Like. I forget his name. The white dude from Detroit.
The white dude from Detroit.
Oh man, what is the guy? Yeah, I know.
It's a candy.
Man,
it's a chocolate candy.
Hey, you remember how you were last week?
Yes, I do.
And I'm like, hold on, dude. What is this dude? We couldn't figure out the name last week.
Colonel Maynard. Eminem.
Who is Eminem?
Who is Eminem?
Who is Eminem?
Good job, Mike.
Yeah. Now, one of the ones that we talk about the diss tracks.
Yeah.
One of the ones that goes like unnoticed or under the radar. I don't know if you remember DJ Quick and MC8.
Yes.
They had a very special battle, right?
Yes.
And DJ Quick just annihilated him on the last one, right? And he had one line in there, and he was like, you spell your name E-I-H-T because a G ain't in you. I was like, oh my God. That was it. Like, that was it. That won it. That was like knockout, mic drop, we gone, right? Why did 8 spell his name, MC8, E-I-H-T? Why would he not put the G in it? And then my man said, a G ain't in you.
I enjoy a good rap beef.
That's it.
I enjoy a good one. Mike, you did about as well as I thought you would do. I didn't think you'd miss any of them.
Yeah.
But that was, and you were quick on it. You did, I'll say this, you did much better doing that than you did the name the HBCUs.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true. I kind of struggled. You helped me through that. You helped me through it. And I kind of got it towards the end, but that was easy for me there.
Yeah, good. That's in your wheelhouse.
That's in my wheelhouse. Y'all got to come with a bigger challenge next time. I like this, though, man. I like this. I like being challenged like that.
All right. That'll do it for this week's show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Next week, we'll be previewing
MEAC
Challenge because football season will be here. And again, poorly named Week 0. So stupid. So stupid. But that does it for us. For Mike, I'm CJ. Everybody, take care. Thanks for listening.